Hi, welcome to Cumberland Cooking. Today I wanted to show you a basic yeast roll that is so fast that anyone can make it, and I want to show you a couple of recipes that you can make from the same basic dough. We've titled it No Need to Knead Roll Dough because you do not have to knead it and you only have to let it rise one time. So I hope that you'll enjoy this as much as my friends have over the years. The first thing that we use with this particular recipe is 1 cup of milk, and add to that 5 tablespoons of shortening and 4 tablespoons of sugar. This then goes into the microwave. That was 4 tablespoons of sugar, and 5 tablespoons of shortening. And you can just dig into the shortening and push it out of your measuring spoon. This particular recipe is so fast to prepare that it's usually the first thing that I make for a dinner or a lunch menu. It's the first thing I start, and then I shape the rolls and let them rise. And then by the time I finish a very rapid or very fast entree or salad, then the rolls are ready. And there's nothing better to greet your guests or your family than the smell of warm yeast rolls. So this will go into the microwave and will be warmed just so that the shortening begins to melt and it's comfortable to my finger. Okay, 60 seconds, good. 60 seconds later, and you can see that it is slightly melted, and I can feel of it, and it's just baby bottle warm. So, some people like to do this particular part in a saucepan, and that works just fine if you prefer. The next part of the recipe involves softening a package of yeast, and this is the rapid rise type that I've started using. I prefer it. And we add about 2 tablespoons of warm water. And again, baby bottle warm, if you will. You want it just a little bit warmer than body temperature, so literally you feel it on your hand just a little bit. That's 1 tablespoon and 2 tablespoons. And it's not critical because when you're making how much water you put in it, because when you're making a yeast product, you're going to add flour until it's the proper consistency. So it doesn't matter that you get a little too little softening water or a little bit too much. Okay. And this dissolves very easily with the warm water. Be sure not to boil the water because it will kill the yeast. This is a live product that produces the CO2. Just make sure, put that finger in there and make sure that the milk is not too hot, because if you've boiled it, it will kill the yeast also. But a good hint that it's not too hot is that the shortening has not melted. Okay, this looks good. Now we also add a teaspoon of salt. And when I measure a teaspoon of salt, my hand is cupped like this as opposed to flat out, and I can see that pile of salt is a teaspoon. And that comes just because I've, over the years, measured salt into a measuring spoon, and I know what that's going to be. Now there's only one ingredient left now, and that is bread flour. I prefer to use bread flour. It takes up to 3 cups, and I've measured out 3 cups, but what I do is add this and mix it in until I get a soft dough. And I can add quite a bit of the 3 cups here at the beginning of the recipe, and then I'll add it more slowly as I get a soft dough produced. This particular recipe rises very quickly because the ingredients are already warm, either room temperature or they've been warmed to approximately 100 or 110 Fahrenheit. You can see how easy that goes into solution. Okay. We're just past the thick batter stage at this point. And we're looking for a soft dough. A soft dough is the same thing, or could be defined as the softness or the firmness of biscuit dough. This particular dough is a good basic dough. It's high in fat and high in sugar, and that's another reason why it rises so quickly, but it's a good basic dough to use for a number of products. Certainly not for a loaf of bread, but for small rolls. And we're going to make a Parker House roll today and also some cinnamon rolls. Now, that is close to the soft dough stage, but it's a little sticky. You can see how the stringiness of the dough still occurs. So I know that I'm about 2 to 3 tablespoons within my soft dough goal. It doesn't hurt if you get too much flour into this dough, oddly enough. And the reason it doesn't hurt it is because you simply let it rise longer. I like to have just what I consider to be the perfect softness, because it works so much nicer when I roll it out and such. Okay, that feels real good. Now, onto my plastic wrap. I sprinkle just a tablespoon or so, not a lot, but a tablespoon or so of flour. And if I feel that the dough is real sticky, at this point I'll even add more flour, and then I'll work it into the dough. But it so happens that the yeast dough gods are with us, and this is a perfect yeast dough. I use this plastic wrap for a number of reasons. It helps keep my warm hands from sticking to the dough, and it allows me to push it together. I'm not really kneading it for the production of gluten at this point. I'm merely pushing it into a dough mass. And we're going to, perfect, this feels so good. If I were a baker, I would know that I'd done a good job. A little bit more of the flour on top, turn it over. I always like to turn the radio on and beat it and bop it while I make this, because it really takes a lot of abuse, so to speak. You can get into the product. The reason I use the plastic wrap is because I don't like to clean the cabinet top. And I know that the plastic wrap is probably more clean than my cabinet top. Sometimes, if you've produced a lot of gluten, which I have done just from that bit of stirring, but the reason I've produced a lot of gluten today is because I used bread flour, and it has a lot more protein in it than regular flour, and so I have produced more gluten than ordinary. And you can know that you've got a lot of gluten when, I call it, the dough talks back to you. The dough has a memory. It pulls back. You could see how I was fighting with that dough, so to speak. I was pulling it back as I rolled it out. If you will let the dough rest, literally sit there for just a minute or two, it won't fight back. It'll lose its memory because that gluten relaxes and tenderizes. I have melted 2 tablespoons of margarine in the bottom of this cake pan. And now I'm putting the circles of dough down, and I'm turning them over. And I'm going to squeeze 3 more circles in, because it so happens, I guess I'll squeeze 2 more circles in. It so happens that that makes a nice, good, full pan of bread dough. This is the classic shape for a Parker House roll. When you pull slightly and it folds over a little bit more than half. The margarine is necessary with this particular recipe. I know this seems to be a lot of fat, but the salt that's in the margarine and also the fat that's in the margarine is essential for the crust flavor and color. You want a certain amount of crustiness and brownness formed here. Okay, so I just tug on these. And we always play a game at my house. I hide an uncooked piece of macaroni or uncooked bean, dried bean, in those, and whoever finds it gets a dime. And of course the children always find it, but that's kind of a fun thing to do. Okay, these now are going into a warm spot. This can be on top of the mantle, or it can be, I have an oven that has a little bit of warmth left, and so I'm going to set them in for about 20 to 30 minutes to rise. And they really don't rise double, but you can see that they've increased in volume. They fill up the pan more. So I have the saran wrap, the plastic wrap over the top, and this keeps them from drying out. And I'll come back and show you how to make a cinnamon roll from these. And that's just barely warm, like a good hot July afternoon. And 20 to 30 minutes later, while we're doing the rest of our menu, the dough will have risen. So, now I want to show you how to make a real easy cinnamon roll from this leftover dough. I've shaped it into a ball, and what I want to do now is to roll it into a rectangle shape. This dough keeps for up to a week in the refrigerator if you keep it in an airtight container. And that could be a Ziploc bag or a plastic bowl with a real tight fitting lid or whatever. And what I'm going to do is roll, it's probably a cup or a cup and a half of this dough. You see, I'll just pinch out what I need for half a dozen rolls or for a few cinnamon rolls, because really this is so easy to work with, and it's so nice to have that aroma of wonderful yeast breads. And you can see how that gluten's pulling on it now. And you can either push it with your fingers. I think the rolling pin causes it to shrink up worse, or you can let it rest, as I was telling you earlier. With the cinnamon rolls, I decided that I would put some chopped pecans. You can do raisins if you wish, and you'll need a sugar cinnamon mixture. This is like 5 parts sugar to 1 part cinnamon, and I keep a mix of this on hand at home. And many of you may use liquid margarine, or you can melt it, it doesn't matter. But this is added to the surface, and I probably added a tablespoon and a half of melted margarine. And I spread that out to the edges, like so. And then the cinnamon and sugar mixture's added. And I've already chopped some pecans, and these go in. Now what we're going to do is add this, or roll this mixture up, cut it into 1/2-inch spirals or 1/2-inch portions, and then these will go into a muffin tin. And I've got just a little more. Let me add. The more the better, right? And I've chopped some pecan halves, or walnuts, or, as I said, raisins and so forth. And actually all you have to do is get the density even down the center of the roll. It doesn't have to be exactly even. I usually pat those in. The reason is because I'm going to now roll the dough into a log, and it will be a spiral, and then I'll seal the edge. And as I roll that, I find that I push the sugar and the nuts to the edge. So just at the very end there, I pull up the edge and bring it over the top and pinch it. This is a very sticky dough, and it pinches together very nicely. Okay? So it works. Then I'll prepare my baking dish, and it is a muffin tin, and I spray it lightly with a non-stick coating, and then I cut the yeast roll dough with a length of thread. Now that does not fill up the muffin tin at this point. It's not the same diameter, and it shouldn't be. So the dimensions of the roll, or rather the rectangle of the dough, you don't want to get it too wide. This is about 5 inches wide, and of course, if you want to have lots and lots of rolls, the length of the roll would simply be larger. We made about a dozen rolls, Parker House rolls, and we'll have about a dozen cinnamon rolls also. And I simply go down through the log, lifting it 1/2 inch in, crossing over, and cutting it. Okay, ready again? So now we have a dozen of the shaped dough, and I'll cover this with saran and put it into a warm place to rise, again, about 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll bake them. The rolls and the cinnamon rolls, the Parker House rolls and the cinnamon rolls take about 10 to 12 minutes to brown. Okay, so I've preheated the oven because the rolls have risen, and as I said, they don't really double in size. You can see that they have increased about 1.5 times. They're not quite double. And the cinnamon rolls are a little bit behind because we made them second, but that's no problem. Both of them go into the top shelf of a preheated 400-degree oven. And it's important that they go into the top shelf of a preheated 400-degree oven because it's essential that they not be overcooked and dry out. This is a very moist dough, but it'll take only about 10 minutes for it to brown nicely. And the cinnamon rolls, the Parker House rolls, may be finished a bit before the cinnamon rolls. So just 10 minutes and we'll have some wonderful yeast leaven rolls for you. Okay, 10 minutes later, and the rolls are nice and evenly browned, and the piece de resistance, the cinnamon pecan rolls. Now they look nice. I'm going to get that big fat one out of the middle and let it cool just a little bit and taste it. And you can see that the Parker House rolls are nicely browned on top. This would not have been the case if we had not put both of these on the top shelf. And the bottom brownness of the roll indicates that it is done, but not too done. You want it to be still soft, still moist, and when this cools, you can pull it open and these rolls do not even have to be buttered, so it's an excellent dish, I think, because it's so easy to serve. But more importantly, it's so easy to prepare. These cinnamon rolls and Parker House rolls from the same dough, and it even stores in the refrigerator.